All right, so now we're going to start solving for quadratic. So by the end of this semester, you're going to be able to solve for all the pieces of a quadratic and graph them. So just as an end goal, a quadratic looks like this. It's called a parabola. There's some different points that we're going to find in this parabola. We have our x-intercepts, which are here. Okay, the minimum or maximum of the graph is called the vertex. We're going to learn how to find that. We have our y-intercept. Through the vertex, we have this dotted line that is called the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry basically means if you fold your paper on the axis of symmetry, both sides of the graph will line up perfectly. So each point on the left is going to have a mirror image on the right. So then we're going to find a mirror image of the y-intercept. So those are the 5 points that we're going to graph. Remember, a standard form of the quadratic is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So when you solve, what do you notice about when we solve for our x-intercepts, which are also called our solutions, our roots, or our solutions, roots, x-intercepts, and I can't remember the fourth one. It'll come to me. Okay, so when we're solving for those, what's the y value if we graph those points? The y value is 0 because we don't go up or down at all. So you're actually going to have your quadratic set equal to 0 to solve for those. We're going to spend a whole chapter practicing solving for x-intercepts because we have so many different methods to use. So the first one we're going to do is solving for x-intercepts by factoring. Now, when you solve by factoring, we are essentially doing the exact same thing that we did all last chapter, except we're adding one step to it. So this could be factoring with a equals 1, or it could be factoring with Kung Fu. Doesn't matter which one. So as I'm factoring this one, I'm going to draw my 2 sets of parentheses and fill in my x and x. I'm multiplying to have a negative, so I have a plus and a minus. If I list my factors of 50 over here, here's my factors. I noticed that 5 and 10 will give me that 5 in the middle. 10 is going to be positive since they have to add to be a positive 5. So this is factored. But here's the deal. We're solving for our x-intercepts. So instead of being equal to y, it's actually equal to 0 because I don't go up or down at all. So I'm going to set it equal to 0. Then I'm going to take each parenthesis and set it equal to 0 and solve. So over here I'm going to subtract 10 to get x equals negative 10. And over here I'm going to add 5 to get x equals 5. Now these are my x-intercepts. And remember, we're thinking graphing, so we're actually going to write them as an x, y point. So these would be your 2 solutions. Okay, it works the exact same way if a is greater than 1. Here's an example for that. If a is greater than 1 and we use our Kung Fu method, we still get down to the same thing right here where we have our 2 factors. And then what did we do? We took each factor and we set it equal to 0 to solve. You can also do it if it's already factored for you, like this example. For this example, since it's already factored for you, actually let's do a different one. If we have 2x minus 3 times 4x minus 1 equals 0. I'm going to take each parenthesis and I'm going to set it equal to 0. And this one's a little bit longer because there's 2 steps to solving. You're not just adding and subtracting. So for the first one, we're going to add 3 to get 2x equals 3. And then we're going to divide each side by 2. So x equals 3 halves. There's one solution. Then on the other one, we're going to add 1 to each side. And then we're going to divide by 4 to get x equals 1/4. So there's our other solution. So some of these you are going to have to divide and do more than one step to solve. But that is solving by factoring.